Hello, I'm hopefully live at this point. Ah, this is the trouble with me trying to figure out how YouTube streaming works. I open up the video and it is just kind of there. Let's see. Streaming my story game jamming job. Please let me know if it's difficult to hear me. I have very little in the way of actually managing this in a fun and constructive way. Anyway, so it does look like I'm up and running properly, and I can hear myself, so let us begin. I did a little bit of so if you're unfamiliar, there is the Storypath Nexus game jam, which is currently going on at onyxpath.com. Well, all over the place, really, but the idea is essentially that you are going to be making a Storypath Nexus product for one of the role-playing games like Scion, Trinity, Continuum, They Came From, and Dystopia Rising. Some are more popular than others. Obviously, my favorite one to do is Trinity Continuum, which I'm trying again here, just because I really like the prompt. I will actually, I'll mention the prompts here, and I'll do a little toss up here because I actually have them in Word at the moment. The prompts that you have for Trinity or Trinity Continuum is new worlds, new dimensions, planets, or tangents. So you can basically create a lot of setting material. Dystopian Rising Evolution has one that I really enjoy, which is the community one. Projects entered around the idea, community projects centered around the idea of building or maintaining a community. Then you have Scion, which is changes. Supplements and around shifting from origin to hero to demigod. They came from green light to... Ooh, what's this? I got a warning for my stream. What does this mean? Stream's current bitrate is low. Okay, I don't know how to fix that. In any case, I guess I could stop looking at my stream at the moment. Thank you for the people who are currently watching. So Dystopian Rising, community projects, they came from New Worlds. Scion is changing, which is centered around from the origin tier of play to hero, and from hero to demigod. I don't believe God has been allowed to be up on Storypath Nexus. Typically, and this is just sort of my feel for it, it's nothing official, Scion or any Storypath product such as the ones here that are mentioned, if a book has come out within the last year, it's probably not up on Storypath Nexus for use by people. I will say I was very pleasantly surprised when I found out that the Masks of the Mythos and Scion Dragon are both up for Scion. So if you want to make something in that part of the universe, you can. Oh, another time. Thanks for saying hiya. I'm glad to have someone watching this. The game designing is going to start in a second. They Came From has a greenlight a sequel, which is take a idea from one of the previous adventures or published stories and make your own. Now, I chose Trinity Continuum because 1, it's my favorite of the settings. 2, I know a lot about it, and 3, I just like creating new sort of tangent realities or settings that are useful for people. One of the ideas, I threw out 2 ideas actually up on the Onyx Path Discord. One of them was I was going to do a Trinity Continuum adventure tangent where you play as space heroes, essentially, like sort of like a Firefly Western in space setting. However, that's my current game that I'm playing, so it's kind of a little bit like cheating. So instead, what I decided to do, and what people voted on in the Discord, was for me to do a entirely new setting about what would happen if the Scions and the Aberrants from Trinity Continuum switch places. Essentially, you have Trinity Continuum in the lore. Aberrants are superheroes. They were superheroes in around the 2018 to 2028 era. And what happened was, as they got more and more powerful, they start getting changing and causing a lot of pollution around the world, in the form of quantum flux. Quantum flux would create things called, like, I think it's called quantum zones or corruption zones or something of that nature. And so that was why, like, aberrants became very terrible, and also governments tried to kill them off and things of that nature. This was like an alien conspiracy to try and get humanity to be more psychically focused, and Scions were set up to essentially take out aberrants and help humanity in that way. I'm oversimplifying the story a lot, but I decided, hey, what would happen instead of the Scions being created to kind of take out the aberrants? We instead had Scions, had the aberrants taking out the Scions. What does that mean lore-wise? It means that Scions are probably being hunted, and probably for good reason, because they can hide out as humans. They can also manipulate people through psychic powers, and there's probably a paranoia, especially if people find out that they are being manipulated by an alien species. So this is where I did some initial outlining. The name of the supplement is just going to be N-Force. I'm not expecting it to be too big. The Storypath Nexus Game Jam, anyone can join. The only way that you sign up for it is essentially submitting your project to the judges. So you can take your time with the project. Don't worry about it. It does have, I think it's about 10 days left in the Game Jam, but you can create something small. Doesn't have to be big. I know there are people who've been working on it for 2 weeks already, almost. But in any case, I'm going to make this, I think, about like a 10-page document. And I'm basing this off of a supplement I picked up, which was called the Phoebe Trust. Trinity Continuum. Which is a very small, tasty bit that actually just got just got re-released as part of a bundle. So if you're on Storypath Nexus or Drive-Thru RPG, you can pick up that bundle, which is just kind of cool in my opinion. That one had the idea that psychic abilities were... Man, I'm just having a lot of network issues right now. I think I need to close some stuff out. Let's close Discord for the moment. Let's close... That application was not doing anything. Let's close all of my Chrome, because Chrome is a resource hog. And just focus on Word. Okay. So, Phoebe Trust, Scion, it was as if Scions showed up in 2018 instead of Aberrants, essentially, or a little bit prior. The idea I'm going with this is that Dr. S.K. Burano, who is kind of like the poster person for Scions, she and Aeon, she is the one that figured out how to, like, deal with the corruption zones, and also became what is known as a proxy. And I'm throwing a lot of vocab words at y'all, and I apologize, but that's the nature of a game that has a lot of backstory. But background information. In Trinity Continuum Adventure, 3 people got superpowers, one of whom was Mercer, who got the talent powers. There was Divis Mal, who got the aberrant powers, and then there was and then there was Sarah, who she got the psychic powers. She got the Psiad powers. And she goes by a variety of different names because she is essentially immortal. Her name at the time of Aeon is SK Verona. Verona. Verano. Verano. So she, in my setting, has created the Proxy Manifesto, essentially talking about how there's psychic manipulators who have been manipulating people behind the scenes, like governments, and that it is part of a plot by an extraterrestrial race. Extraterrestrial race. Maybe not race. Might be a little charged of a word. Don't know. But essentially what this will get across is that the reason Sciads and Scions are being hunted down is because they're not working for humanity's benefit. They are working essentially for this extraterrestrial group that is bent on subjugating humanity. There's a lot of fun things that you can do in regards to manipulating the rules. If I break out the Trinity Continuum rule books that I have for Aberrant, one of the things I was thinking about initially was that your character wouldn't start at 150 XP. One thing I kind of have a hard time wrapping my head around is when a game is like, oh yeah, you're going to start with so much XP so that you have to like be an expert in the game to create your character. Like if I'm given 150 XP at character creation, I don't know what I'm buying. I could be buying a really good power. I could be buying a really bad power. In any case, one of the things for character creation, I'm going to put that in the aberrant rules for character creation, and this is just an outline. XP starting XP is 75. That is based off of the low-level category for aberrant. I do want transformations and chrysalis and all this other stuff where basically as novas and aberrants get more powerful, they start to mutate into aberrants. I want to keep that in there. There is discussions about flux, which is the quantum flux and transcendence. I want to make it so that flux is a lot more easily dealt with. This is quantum flux is different than normal flux, which is a bit of a setting issue. I would say, I mean, not really a setting issue. It's kind of just how the world was created. In any case, I have this background music, and the background music isn't even on loop. Wanted it to be on loop. Properties. Loop. Put it on a little bit of a background noise. Hopefully it's not too loud. If it gets too loud, please let me know. Don't just leave. Though that is allowed. I'm not babysitting the chat as much as I should be. If you have any questions about what I think about what should happen with Aberrant and Aeon in this regard, feel free to throw them at me. It helps me in the creative process. I am not much of a I try to stream. I'm kind of bad at streaming. Ooh, that's interesting. The window capture is grabbing a different thing. I don't want it to be grabbing that. I want it to be grabbing my Microsoft Word document. Ooh, I have multiple things. Okay. I'm going to delete that because that layer does not need to be there. Oh, this is saying it's Chrome, but it's not Chrome. It's actually my my document. Okay. So character creation, we're just going to start at the starting XP 75. That should keep our characters a little bit interesting for me, without being too underpowered that players are going to be upset playing them. You'll be able to get your super speed. If I was doing this the way I'd like to, I would probably say everyone plays as stalwarts. That being said, playing as a stalwart in this might be a little bit difficult, just because, like, I really want to take the aberrant rules and turn them into like what would happen in the year 2123, the Roaring Twenties, as it were. Nova's anyway. I'm getting ahead of myself. So part of it, mechanically, I want it starting XP at 75. I also want it to be that quantum flux is ignored for now. This is the tough part. You want to make sure that you're leaving it in there, but not doing so much that it causes problems. So, but look at quantum flux. Their action fundamentally for experienced novas like Division, some elders of Peregrine, as well as longtime associates, have a great understanding of the transformation process. Lifebane. Oh, they do talk about grounding. Grounding. There are two primary ways to deal with flux: transcendence, anchoring oneself to mundane people in the world to maintain those connections, or embracing the inevitable transformation in order to guide them along a particular path. I'm trying to think of a situation in which the superheroes are considered not inhuman. I definitely think that grounding should be the main focus of keeping Novas from going crazy. The dormancy edge is a good way of dealing with that. This allows Novas to turn off their powers, whereas grounding looks to tamp down a Nova's inner fires and process of chrysalis turns them into the crucible to burn away human frailty, transforming a Nova into their ultimate evolved form. Now, I still do like the evolved form, and people will say to me, and I'm just imagining a friend of mine who I talk to. Well, I like playing with the chrysalis as an option. Why can't I just play as chrysalis with a chrysalis? So you go into a France and you trade your flux for a point of transcendence, since their choices in the chrysalis can affect how long the trance state lasts, blah blah blah. They are unconscious. It gains you the following benefits and effects. You can spend XP to improve and acquire Nova traits for a character without the requirement of being maxed out. You can change some of your dots and mega attributes. You can swap out transformation for a new one. There's all this stuff about being a quantum flux zone. I'm just like, I like the idea of it being a lot harder to deal with, but I like it being easier to deal with, actually. I like the idea of it being hard to be a superhero where you're starting to create like negative effects around you. While the Nova, they use techniques for evolution, flux. Yeah, sorry that this isn't as much interesting. This is me going through and being like, the Nova 8. So here's the Aberrant War is the sword of Damocles that hangs like a shadow over the entirety of the Aberrant era. Increasing quantum flux among nova leads to more and more uncontrolled transformations, as well as psychological problems due to transformation and quantum instability. The rift between novas and baseline humanity continues to grow, and the dangers and unintended consequences created by novas and their powers begin to outweigh the benefits. Without this moderation, so basically, too few novas have embraced the philosophy of Terras and learned to control and moderate their transcendence process, and even many Terrats have failed to do so, drunk on the godlike power that they wield. So we have to have a system to keep quantum flux in check. Um, keeping quantum flux in check. Through experimentation, Divis Mal has figured out how to not hinder, gradually to make the figured out how to manage quantum flux a in a safe manner. So we have dormancy. Divis Mal has become has developed techniques in order to help novas slash aberrants turn their powers dormant for long periods of time. Then we also need the chrysalis. As part of, you know what, I need to, there we go. That feels a lot better to me. Divis Mal and other novas have affected the chrysalis process, along with easier modes of initializing it. Let's say initializing it. We can go into a little bit more detail in here of maybe having something along the lines of implants, chrysalis implants. Designed as a warning system as well as an injection as to initialize the chrysalis process when quantum flux levels reach critical mass. So we have this situation of it's something that is being dealt with. Maybe there are still rogue, aberrant elements who are not following the rules of Divis Mal in this situation. We're putting Divis Mal as a figurehead. I don't think he would typically be that way because he was very hands off when it came to Aberrant. Like he was around for the Terrigen, but he wasn't really doing much. And that might be surprising. Like he was very hands off and he was like, I taught you guys everything I needed to teach you. I'm gonna do my own thing now. This stuff, introduction, overall overview of the setting, history, present, goals and methods, advantages, why the Enforce. This is all stuff that I took from the Phoebe Trust as far as the headers go. They'll help me organize this stuff down if I were to do this as an actual product, akin to community projects I did in the past. I've only done one real community project that was linked with people who are familiar with Honest Path Publishing's process, and that was the Bloody Burrows for Trinity Continuum Assassins. If I were to do this like how I was managed in that, I'd probably put like a word count limit on the different sections. Um, this is kind of going to be a tasty bit size, so maybe the word count is like a few thousand words or something like that, but it's not going to be big. And it's mostly essentially going to be an allegiance. It's going to be an allegiance called Enforce with an exclamation point because we need to keep on brand. But N with an exclamation point is also what they use for NWE, which is the Nova Wrestling book that they have. So I think it's on brand. Um, in any case, I do like to ramble a bit. I think that's maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Uh, so an overview of the setting is we definitely have an inciting incident. It's called inciting. I'm thinking it's going to be around 2028 because that's around the same time that the Aberrant War happens, I think. If I looked at my thing for the Aberrant War, when does it happen? In less than 30 years, the Nova Age will end in disaster. Okay, so um that isn't 2028. That is 2058, I think. So we'll say 2058 is when the Aberrant War. It's no longer the Aberrant War. It would be the Scion War. Probably initiated by a variety of different events. We probably have a political assassination. Scions using their powers to manipulate government. Do we keep the FSA as an option? That does lead us into a situation where the FSA is the Federated States of America. That is the idea that once the United States went through the Aberrant War, it led into fascism. And I actually got a friend who asked me right now, what is good editing software? Da Vinci Resolve Studio free version. Just a little bit behind the scenes on that, I guess. In any case, so this is the type of stuff that would get people against Scions. Paranoia. Scions probably wouldn't leave. So we have the end of the Scion War. What do they call them? Sleeper cells remain on Earth. And then we'd have Scions who have left Earth have joined the Doyen, because that's and Doyen allied races. This is your type of situation where in Aeon, the thing that happens is a lot of aberrants become godlike beings or people who are leading specialized cults. So you have the aberrants creating cults. In this case, you don't have scions creating cults. Scions are essentially joining a federation of, not a federation, but groups of Scion based alien life forms that are controlled by the Doi. I feel like the End Force eruption by destroying the Doyen barrier. So destroying the Doyen barrier caused eruptions to start to happen with people. So I imagine that what we will have in this setting is that the Doyen barrier might still be up, but perhaps there is a method of bypassing it that is not as drastic as what happened on End Day. So we can say, have just like replace End Day with the N device, which suppresses the Doyen barrier. This allows for people to develop as aberrants and novas, but also stops random eruptions from happening. This is sort of your funnel. You in Scion has the thing of everyone has this potential to become a Scion or Sciad, but they go through a Prometheus chamber to become one. Instead of having novas and aberrants erupt willy-nilly, we have them now go through a process. So you have to be trained in order to become a nova. A lot less of a deconstruction, I think, than what Aberrant actually is of superheroes. So, from there, we have the establishment of Enforce. And let's say, along with the Aeon Society, and give it a couple of legs under its feet so that it's like it was created part of the Aeon Society, but then it was given to the UN to control. We can have the United Continents or something, maybe. In any case, Enforce is created. Their goals and methods are simple. Goals uh, to hunt down rogue, Sciads, and Scion. Destroy Prometheus chamber. We're still going to have the quanta kinetics. Those are the Scions who are Dr. S.K. Barano's order. They basically are people who can manipulate quantum flux. And they might be part of the process of creating the aberrant, I think. Let's put that in there. Like, maybe we have like a setting secret thing in the background. It might not make it to the final book because I might not have enough time to write it, but I do like the idea of having people who are scions manipulate or sorry, scions using quantum the health novas not go crazy. I have to look at their powers just to give myself an idea, but it's kind of like a good structure to start with. I'm not expecting this to be popular. I'm just expecting this to be an interesting idea that some people might take to heart and give it a shot. Organization structure for Enforce. Commander Divismal. Board of UN committee. I'm having this image in my head of like the UN committee being kind of like the XCOM committee that they have, where you have like a commission of secret people who are funding your project. But Dibismal is the commander, so gets to make the on the ground decisions, whereas the UN committee is all about the funding. Let's put some stuff in here. Enforce was established to ostensibly protect Earth from intrusion by the Scions. And Doyen. And sanctioned novas with Enforce are given leeway in UN allied countries, moons, stations, and planets. Oh, it's not Y Enforce. Y Enforce is usually why your character has joined Enforce. So it's something like your family was manipulated by a Scion, leading to disaster. Now you seek your revenge. In any case, just something I am thinking of. Doyen develop the well, actually, I say Doyen. We should probably say proxies, because proxies are the ones who are the proxies for the Doyen. Develop the Promethean chambers in secret and begin converting latent Syads to Scions. So you have this situation where maybe these creatures, these aliens, are kidnapping people from Earth or from colonies and turning them into psychic warriors for their war. Setting secret for Trinity Continuum is that the Doyen are all about making sure that quantum races don't develop because they are more powerful than psionic races. However, humanity is unique in that it's not only full of psion or psi powers, but also quantum powers, as well as the flux powers, which are the talents. But those don't get talked about a lot compared to Scions and Aberrants. That's another setting you could do. You could definitely do a setting where the talents have turned into the evil ones. I don't know how that would happen because talents are just so mundane. Like from the outsider perspective, talents aren't doing much. In case, uh, we have a good structure here as far as like the lore. I do want to add a few things in mechanically, but I think like the aberrant rules here, this is enough to just be like, okay, like a small tasty bit, maybe like $2 thing. And then you have all the lore that needs to get into there. I'm not sure if I'm going to stream again about the lore of Trinity Continuum and like, or my story, my story, my ugh, why am I blanking? Storypath Nexus Game Jam product. I do like that we had a few people drop in to see what my progress looks like because I'm doing terribly on this. Here's the thing. When you're planning a when you're planning a competition or not a competition, a contest, because really this is all just for fun. You're setting your own goals for the most part. Um, when you're setting the dates for these things, make sure you're not doing it around the same time that uh, your 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 spouse is like, hey, maybe you should exercise more and take on more responsibility in the household. Because it's like, oh great, I want to do this, but also I'm worried about my health and I'm worried about responsibilities, finances, and things of that nature. In any case, you can never really account for this stuff. You can never really plan for it. You just try and do your best. And I dropped something on the floor that is gray on a rug that is gray, but that is how the cookie gets utterly pulverized. We're at the 45-minute mark. I think I'm at a good place right now. I do have other stuff to do that I should be doing. Have a lot of chores to do, as it were. So thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in other stuff in regarding the Storypath Nexus Game Jam, please check out the link in the description or check out the various different things that are going on. Storypath Nexus is fun. I had a lot of fun last year when I made my mission generator. Maybe I'll put a link to that in here. Probably should. In case. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good one.